So the engine we're getting out today is actually under my old Jeep project here, which I call it a project, it's more just yard art. It is the straightsix actually out of my 1964 C10 that I've got currently, which I replaced with a 383. So this is gonna probably be our power plant for the 66 GMC that I'm currently building for my wife. So we kind of need to get it out of this thing and get it in there on the shop floor, see if we can't get it running. So a closer look at this old engine, as you can tell, it's not sitting in anything but the ground. So hopefully this thing will fire up. I've had it spinning over in the truck that it was in before this. So that's pretty promising. It didn't seem to have any knocks or slaps, but here's my serial number. I'll kind of zoom in here for you. When I just ran that, it came back that it was a Chevy 250, so that's what I'm getting out of it. So that makes sense for this year because it was a 64 C10, so hopefully that's right. But if any of you guys see that serial number and you know it's a different engine than what I just said, let me know. I'd definitely be interested in it. I'm not real big on these Chevy straightsixes or really any Chevy engine at all. Not really a big engine guy myself. I'm more on the fabrication side. So without further ado, let's get this thing wrapped up and let's get it in the shop. Oh man, I about took that shock somewhere you don't want to. Looks like we're gonna need a bigger bolt. Let me know how this audio is too. I'm trying my new buddy out here that's got his little dead cat thing on here. Pretty windy out here today, so I'm just kind of nervous that the audio quality is not gonna be good. All right, let me go get a chain and I think we'll be about ready to rip. The only bad thing about these mics being right attached to my mouth, you guys gotta listen to me grunt a lot more. Just gonna go on the intake here, I do believe. I may instantly regret that decision once I pick this thing up though. Oh, here it comes. Oh yeah, oh, the cab's coming with it. Let's go a little forward here. Yep. Oh, she's free. Oh, yep. Oh. Oh, we got her now. Oh, a little bit more up. Oh, we even got a battery cable still. Oh, I did hit record. That's embarrassing. Way too high. Come on down with it. A little bit more. Oh. What do you think? That look good right there? All right, now that we've got this in the shop, what I plan on doing is hopefully getting this down on some kind of a block, which I have some of those underneath my lathe here. And that's kind of what we had the 383 sitting on. So hopefully this will kind of nest down in there as well, and we can get this thing started up on the floor. You guys watch that side, tell me if it's looking good. Oh, it's just a little bit of a lot. Oh man. Coming down, there's not much finesse with this thing. Well, I don't really like that. Apparently the oil pan is quite a bit bigger on this straightsix as well. I'm gonna be pretty good with that, I think. It ain't like we're gonna be revving this thing up to 9,000 or anything like that. Yet. So what I'm gonna do to try to get this thing turned over is I'm just gonna get in here between the flywheel and the transmission and just kind of pry this thing to see if we can't start getting this engine to rotate. I'm pretty positive it's not locked up in any way, but it has sit in the front of that Jeep for a couple, I'd say, years now. I do want to make sure this thing is going to spin free because I don't really want to put much time into it if it is locked up, because this is going to be an engine that I want to, you know, eventually make a pretty good little engine out of and hopefully go pretty good distance with. So I don't really want to get an engine that's locked up, get it unstuck, and all that stuff. We'll probably move to something else. Oh, there it goes. It turned. Just hard to get this pry bar in here right now. Yeah, she spins pretty free. I'm good with that. Alright, I'm going to call that a win as far as this thing's not stuck. Next thing I'm going to do probably is go ahead and hook our battery up, see if I can't get this thing turning over on its own, and then we will start worrying about spark. I probably won't go as far as actually hooking up a fuel system and everything for this, because I was looking at this old fuel line and it is jam-packed with mud. I'm not even sure how that happens. What I'll do is hear this thing run and give me enough hope that it is going to be worth messing with. So we've got two black wires. Well, I guess this one's not really black, it's more of a speaker wire. But we've got two wires here. I mean, they're right here, so I might, well, that's already not very promising on that starter. It's kind of loose. I guess we'll go ahead and give this a try. Everything's really greasy on this engine, but I guess we'll go ahead and hook everything up real quick and see if it'll start wanting to turn over on its own or not. If not, we'll have to get back in here probably, clean up all these connections and all that good stuff. Well, that might not be our first issue. I don't know if our ground's going to be long enough. Put her in the custom battery box there. Oh, it's good as new. I think I'm just going to get a screwdriver or something here to jump this solenoid or our closest pry bar. So I'm going to jump this and we'll see what we got here. Alright, it wanted to and then it did not. So make sure we got all of our connections here good. It looks like this is loose, so pop this back off real quick and I'm going to get in here and tighten this. I guess it's the solenoid of the starter. I'm sorry, you guys on this video probably think I don't know a thing about a vehicle, and you're probably right. I'm not sure why these would have been loose. Alright, let's see if we can't hook this thing back up and give her another shot. It does sound like it's galloping a little bit, which is not really good. Could mean a cylinder's down a little bit on compression. Probably just go forward and forget about that, because I want to just kind of see if this thing will pop off anyway, and we'll just see how it runs. I mean, I'm not too concerned about all that. So the next thing I'm going to do is kind of look up a schematic and try to figure out which one of these I need to run to the hot, so we can get hot to our coil and then into our distributor and start getting some spark in our spark plugs. Alrighty, so I think I have my wiring all figured out. Hopefully we got this going to our power down here on our starter, and we got our wire going down to our points, which I have not opened the cap yet, which if we do not get spark, that'll probably be my next line of attack. But I do have a plug up here, and we'll just go ahead and roll this thing over a little bit more and see if we can't get us a little bit of spark going on here. Fancy switch here. We do not have any spark, so the next thing I'm going to be doing is popping this distributor cap off and checking our points. They're more than likely corroded in between here, so I'm going to get in there and do that, and I'll get you in here in just a second and show you what I'm talking about. People refer to points ignition. This is what they're talking about. You got a little thing here, and what this does, it'll open up and these two will create a gap and there'll be spark and all that good stuff. So a lot of times you'll get your gap here, which will open up here, like here. You can see it's pretty drastic there. It doesn't obviously open that far, but it'll open there and there will be spark in between this gap, which everything feels pretty wonky in this thing, which I do have an HEI distributor set up for this thing, which I may end up just tossing in this if we cannot get these to work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a file real quick that I've got, file in between here, clean these points up, and we'll see what we got. Also, your little condenser here, it can go bad as well, which is definitely possible as long as this thing is set. and I do not have any of that stuff, so we will not be replacing anything. It's got some kind of a vacuum advanced setup on here I'm not really familiar with, but yeah, it'll really open or close this thing. But essentially, this is about like a hexagon, and when that comes around, that opens your points up, and that's what sends your signal, your spark or whatever, to your plugs on down the line. And when those corrode, obviously it can't create a spark. So hopefully by cleaning that up a little bit, we can start getting some spark. We'll turn this thing over a little bit, and I might have this thing wired wrong. I don't really know. I mean, I'm no wiring guru. I just kind of looked it up online. And it seems like this thing's really drawing down. Battery should be up a little bit more than it is. Jump back on it and see if it'll spin over any quicker, but man, I just had that thing on charge all night just for this occasion. Either that or our engine's getting tighter, which would not be awesome. Still don't see any spark going here, so I'm gonna try this one more time, and then we're probably gonna have to visit our wiring maybe. Alright, I played around with the engine a little bit more here, cleaned up every connection that I could and sanded more, and I just cannot get this thing to spark. So I'm sure maybe some of you guys are yelling at me on the screen and telling me that I need to do this, but for me, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if the condenser is bad and the point setup, which I do not have another one like I was saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to opt to go ahead and put the HEI style distributor in there, because that is an upgrade we're doing anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing out, and by doing that, I'm just going to make sure I get this thing clocked exactly pretty close to where this is in our timing relation as far as our rotor button goes. And then we can just wire this thing up. HEI is real easy. One wire, you're done. So just like your old small block Chevys, your hold down is going to be a 9/16. We're just going to pop that off, and then our distributor should come out. Take our coil wire off first. Goes to your points there. Make sure you drop the nut behind there so you'll never find it again. There's our hold down. Double check our rotor button. It is pointing directly towards the first bolt on our coil. So once we pull this up, we will come back with our new distributor here, and we will line it up just like so. Oh, yeah. I figured this may be a little fun getting this out of here. Oh, man. These distributors can sometimes seize down in here, as you can see here. And it makes it pretty difficult to get out. Layla has given up on the old straightsix 250, unfortunately. Oh, there we go. That wasn't too bad. We definitely got a pressure washing video in the future of this old engine, because I would love to get this thing in a really cool color for the GMC. Put our hold down back on, and we'll start getting everything wired up, hopefully. Alright, we've got our HEI system all hooked up, and I believe I have it wired correctly. I know you got your doubts, I've seen you. I think I got it though. And I've got our spark plug up here on top, so we shall see if we have any spark. Without further ado, let's hit the old poor man switch and see if we can't get this thing turning over. So it is kind of hard to see on camera, but we are getting a great looking spark, so I'm super excited about that. I guess the next thing we need to do is try to get this carburetor uncovered from my duct tape job that I did 2 or 3 years ago, and we'll see if this thing can't pop off. So if you ever plan on storing an engine outside, the best thing to do, and I recommend, is to start out with a Mazda B2200 hubcap. Then you want to sandwich that on top of a good Ziploc baggie, and then duct tape all that accordingly. So let's see if I can't get this conglomeration off of this carburetor. Wife's calling, I better take that one. Drop down in the comments if you guys have been plagued with the stink bugs. Like, it is ridiculous around our area. Like, we have so many stink bugs around us. I call them stink bugs. I don't really know what they're called. That's what everybody calls them, but They're these little guys right here, kind of diamond shaped or whatever, but man, they are absolutely everywhere. Yeah, I guess our next step is we're just gonna see if this old thing will bark off. I don't see no reason why it shouldn't. And the mud daubers have went ahead and done a solid and plugged that off for us, so no need to have a vacuum line on that. Alrighty, first test fire. Let's see what we got. We'll get a little gas down in here. Probably need to put that back on there. If we can fire off at all. It's really wanting to. It feels like it's really wanting to freaking lay over that way too. That's kind of scary. Oh man. She's not going nowhere now. Let's throw some more gas to her. Filling up this float bowl right now, or trying to. If it does pop off, it might run for a little bit. The key, uh-oh, the dead cats fell off again. I'll just put him up here in case it fires up, and he can just ride the lightning. That got really hot. Alrighty, looks like we're going to have to charge some jet boxes and batteries overnight, unfortunately. But we made pretty good progress today. We'll get back on it tomorrow, hopefully, and get this thing busted off and running. So welcome back to our day 2 of our Chevy 250 build here. Or I guess not really build, more of a startup. Kind of slept on it. I think what I'm going to do, go through here, I'm going to pop all my plugs out real quick, just kind of get a look at them, and just kind of probably clean them just so they do have a little bit better spark and all that good stuff. And it's going to be even that much more likely to fire up, hopefully. No rust or anything like that going on, so that's a big plus. But I still want to get through here, clean everything up, and then we'll be able to go back with, hopefully, I don't have new plugs, but they will be a little bit cleaner than what they are currently. I'm just going to zip down through here, get the rest of these off. I'm going to double check my firing order just to make sure all that's right, and hopefully this thing turning back over again. Quite a bit of gunk down in these things, so this is probably a pretty good idea we're doing this. And this one is finger tight. That could have been some of that compression loss we were hearing across there. While I got all these out, I'm going to go ahead and just shoot some PB blaster down in here, because if the rings are a little bit seized up, it might kind of help free that up and get some lubrication on those rings. Definitely won't hurt nothing. I found some plugs that looked a little bit better than the ones we had in it. Double checked the firing order here, and it was all looking pretty good, but double checked it. There was a couple on this cap that had worked what I would call loose, and they weren't really connected. That's kind of the bad thing about like these Excel coils. Kind of covers all your plugs here, and it makes it really hard to really get them a good seat. But rig me a little wire up now so I'm not jumping the starter, so pour a little gas down this thing and see what happens. Getting a lot of blow by coming out of that breather. That's not a good sign. It sounds like it's wanting to hit. I'm gonna pop. Layla's a bunch of coyotes out tonight. Layla's keeping guard for us. Check, make sure we got spark just for the kick of it. Layla, come on, B. I can see a lot of gas down in there, so we might actually be flooded at this point. Let's see real quick. So I went ahead, pulled my distributor cap off. I'm gonna just verify that this is on top dead center number 1. By doing that, I'm just gonna roll this thing over, and when the number 1 cylinder gets right here, this rotor button here should be pointing towards our number 1 cylinder. I just kind of took it for granted that it was in the right orientation whenever we pulled the old distributor, but maybe it wasn't. So let's bump this thing over real quick, and I'm just going to put my finger over this somehow or another, and it's going to blow that thing off of it when we're up here. It's a little bit trickier to get to than a small block Chevy or something. I'm going to start slowly bumping this thing over, and I'll feel that exhaust, or I'll feel that stroke hit it, and it'll blow my finger up, if it has any compression at all. It's not a good sign. You can't feel anything at all, so I'm scared this old engine might not have any compression at all. I guess, well, that wasn't ideal. But we do have a compression tester. I'm gonna go ahead, while I get this off, we'll just throw it on there and see if it's making any compression at all. Because we might be just kind of doing all this for nothing. Alright, moment of truth. We'll see if we've got any compression being built. Wow. I mean, it's not even trying. Huh. That stinks. I guess we'll see if any of our other cylinders are making any compression. That could have been why this old truck got parked up. I don't really know. That one's jumping up to about 75. Might be soaking these things down with some ATF and just leaving this overnight. Just see if these rings start opening up a little bit. That would be a pretty good indication on why it's not wanting to run though. That one's about the same, 75. 75 on that one also, and you can hear that one, it was holding pretty good. Got shot with some debris out of that cylinder there, right on the old face. Just keep going on down the line here, I guess. So it looks like all of them are pumping up except for number 1. So I think my game plan is I'm going to soak this thing down overnight with ATF in every one of these, because they could all use it. So that is the game plan, and I guess I'll see you guys again tomorrow. So after thinking a little bit, I went ahead and soaked everything down. Made a complete and total mess with ATF everywhere, but I'm gonna pop this valve cover off because it's kind of odd that everything is good except for that one piston. So I'm gonna see if we don't have a valve hanging up. I mean, that could be definitely a possibility. I mean, it makes absolutely no compression, like it doesn't even try. So it's almost like something's just blowing straight by. So I just kind of got to thinking off camera, and that's where I'm gonna go from here. Broken valve cover gasket. I'm just gonna roll this thing over by hand. I mean, it looks like we've got good oil pressure because we've got oil pretty much all the way up through all these rockers for the most part. Got a little bit of crud in here, but I mean overall, too dang bad. Still getting sprayed with ATF, as you can see. I didn't have the camera on, which I wish I would have, because I took some ATF to the face, and you guys are probably seeing me, and I probably got it all over my face right now, but it was pretty good stuff. Yeah, I'm not seeing any movement on our number 1 cylinder currently. So I think we got some sticky valves right now, which is good. That's better than a crapped out piston ring. The ATF basically just made it look like a murder scene. I was really just trying to do that to get some of those rings stuck, if that's what it was, but I'm pretty sure we're looking at our valves are sticking right now. So See if we can't tap that a little bit with a dead blow. We'll see if we can't get this old thing going anyway though. There's definitely our sticky valve right there. There we go. Gosh dang, that thing gets me one more time. I swear. New beard oil for the season is gonna be ATF, I guess. Good Lord, Layla's scratching around behind me. I thought something done had me. Just sprayed Layla down with ATF. Last thing I'm going to do before heading in, because I do want this thing to soak a little bit, I'm just going to hit these valves a little bit down through here with some PV blaster, just so everything can kind of free up. I don't think it's going to hurt anything at all. I mean, like I was telling you guys, I'm no mooter. Obviously, I'm not very good with the English language either, but I'm no mooter. Oh my Lord, 2 times in a row. I'm not a motor guru, so just gonna spray these things down and hopefully that'll help work them things a little bit looser. And then tomorrow, hopefully we can come out here and start getting this thing back in action. And don't worry, I do plan on changing the oil on this thing whenever we get it popped off. Like I was saying, it ain't like we're gonna run it for a really long time anyway. See y'all tomorrow. Alright, so night 3 of the Chevy 250 Will It Run. I got everything buttoned back up like you seen last night. The valves ended up unsticking and all that good stuff, so I didn't do a compression test, so we're just gonna pretend like it's good and try this thing out. And it was out of time quite a bit, so let's see if that makes any difference. This jump pack up to it. Maybe we just got a bad battery here that's not getting adequate power, or the engine's getting tight, one of the two, which is definitely a possibility. I mean, I don't know why this engine was parked. It was in my old truck when I found it, and it was parked for 17 years, so we could just have a bad engine. It happens. Well, got some fire. Yeah, this thing's backfiring out of here like it's out of time still. I'm not real proficient with these straight sixes, so it's definitely a possibility. I may run through that again, but just for good time, let's try it one more time. Alrighty, well, I'm going to play with the timing a little bit, and I'll be right back with you. Don't go nowhere, don't lose faith. We're going to get this thing, I promise. Just takes a little time sometimes. Here we go. I'm not sure, guys. I'm really not. Layla, I don't know what it is either, man. Attempt number 495. I'm gonna try this again. Just kind of double checked on timing again, and we're good in my eyes. So here we go. Got my good luck charm back there. She doesn't really want to be on camera tonight, so maybe that's what I needed. Sounded a lot better than what it has. Definitely getting some exhaust. I had you come out here about 2 hours ago. Oh, it really wants to. Gas in there, honestly. Let's just give her what she wants. Yeah, she wants some Geese. Just carbon monoxide take me. There's a little breather tube here, which I am believing goes to some kind of a float mechanism in this carburetor, which I'm not 100% positive on that either. But it seems like the more full it gets, the longer this thing wants to run, which in theory would mean that it would be some kind of float system. Here we go. Making some noises. I like that. Here we go. Jesus, Pete's.
Oh my god.
It's all that ATF. Just the Halloween vibe. Bra da da da. Yeah, that ATF is burning off a little bit.
What's ATF?
Automatic transmission fluid. It's going this time. Our carburetor is not wanting to do anything. Woo, buddy! We had a fireball pretty good right there.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
You're making me nervous.
I'm making myself nervous. Might as well just keep sending it to him. Comes off the starter, it's freaking done. Like, I can keep the starter and it'll keep running. It doesn't make any sense. Alright, so as you've seen, I've got it running and I can actually keep it running, but there's kind of a weird thing going on right now. I've got it to where I can keep it running, but I've got to keep the starter engaged. So I'm almost thinking I've got something wired a little wonky here. So I'm probably going to end that off here tonight. Hopefully get back out here again tomorrow and mess with it a little bit more. If you guys might know, drop it down in the comment what I've got going on. Obviously it's not going to help me in this video, but maybe you can enlighten me on that. But I'll show you in here real quick. I've got my starter wire from my solenoid just coming straight over to here, and then I'll just hit that on my positive right here. And as soon as I'll hit that on that post, obviously it starts the starter, gives us a spark, and as soon as that, we're losing our spark. But this is our coil wire. I'm not sure why it would lose spark once I pulled our hot wire off, because we do have a hot wire going to our battery. It feeds right in here and goes right to our positive side. So I'm kind of twisted and torn on what's going on there. Doesn't really make any sense to me. You would think that if you had I mean, this wire here should be doing nothing more than starting it, that's what it's doing, but yeah, that's the only way I can keep it going, and I know that that's pretty much gonna crap that starter out, and I don't want to do that. And I mean, that's not really the motor itself running, that's me running it on a starter. But I mean, this engine sounds surprisingly really well and really healthy. I mean, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, gonna think on this, and I'll get back with you. Alright, so back again out here tonight, but I think I've got this thing figured out why it wasn't idling. It was just because we're trying to go through this starter to power our 12 volt to our HEI, which is not how that really works. Somehow the points and all that stuff, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that if I just run a hot wire from our positive, which is right here, I got our positive, we got a line, or got a wire coming straight up here and to our HEI. And then of course we got the trusty rusty old starter switch here that I'll be touching on and off. And yesterday when I was doing that, when we still had our yellow wire hooked up for our coil, that is whenever it seemed like that's the only time it was getting spark, was whenever we were hitting the ignition and it was kind of completing that circuit. I'm not sure if there's something maybe wrong with this starter to where it's connected those two together for whatever reason. That's how it's supposed to work. Like I said, I'm not an electrician, so this is the route we're gonna go. So let's see if we can't get this thing to pop off and actually run. Alrighty, here we go. Moment of truth. I'm going to consider that a win. I'm not going to run it much longer than that because I don't have an oil change for this thing just yet. It's full of ATF and all that good stuff. And obviously we don't have any coolant system, all that stuff. So, wow. It was a long, hard fought battle. So the old thing finally lives. I mean, it really kicked off pretty good today. I mean, without very much at all. That's kind of my bad on that starter thing. It was just losing spark as soon as we would give it some, because as soon as we'd pull off to disengage the starter, it'd kill it. So got that HEI running constant hot, which as you've seen, working great. So I just want to really thank all you guys for, if you stuck in the video this long, I really appreciate it. I know some of these wheeler runs can get a little lengthy. I tried to get this one as quick as I could, so I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate you guys watching. So with that being said, if you don't care, hit a like down below, because that does show YouTube that you do like this kind of content, and it kind of helps more people kind of come in so we can continue to do this kind of stuff. But that's all I'm going to ask. I'm not going to ask for you to subscribe. That's up to you. Just a simple like, that's all I ask. So until the next one, I'll see you guys.